Hi everybody, I am Max Gray. Welcome to Metal Planet. Today I'm gonna talk about the fourth studio album by the German industrial metal band Rammstein. Reise came out in 2004, roughly a decade after the band's foundation. It was recorded in the city of Malaga in Spain and was produced by Jakob Hellner, the longtime producer of the band at that time. It appears that working in a warmer country away from home allowed the band members to record in a more relaxed environment and allowed them to develop new musical ideas. The end result was that the album Reise had a warmer and more organic sound compared to the more synthetic or mechanical sound that was present on the band's first three studio albums. In Rammstein's fourth album, the techno and electronic keyboard sounds that were traditionally used by the band were minimized to make room for other instruments, like strings, choirs, acoustic guitars, a harmonica, an oboe, a mandolin, an accordion, etc. The album is named after the Germanic expression Reise, which can be roughly translated as arise or journey in English. It appears that this expression was used by German sailors or soldiers as a wake-up call or a call to the sea, signifying the start of an adventure or a journey. The utilization of this expression for the album title was appropriate because when listening to it, you feel that there is a theme of traveling that is present throughout the album that somewhat connects the songs together. The album starts with the title track, which contains the sound of seabirds and waves, giving the listener the impression that he is somewhere in the Baltic Sea or North Sea. After that, there are other songs on the album like Dalai Lama, America, and Moscow, which transport the listener, so to speak, to Tibet, America, and Russia while the album is playing. This theme of traveling is also present in the album artwork, which represents an airplane black box. In addition to German, there are other languages used in the album, like English, Russian, and French. This gives the album a more international feel compared to the band's previous albums, which were mostly sung in German. Like I said earlier, the album starts with the title track, a really powerful album opener that invites the listener to embark on the musical journey that is the album. The song contains big power chords, ethereal strings, and strong choruses, which give the song a grandiose quality. This song can almost be described as symphonic metal, and the utilization of an accordion at the end of the track is really interesting. I think it fits really well with the sailor theme present in the song. Mein Teil is undoubtedly the heaviest song on the album. It starts right away with really aggressive guitar riffs, and the song also contains an intense vocal delivery that fits well with the heavy guitars. The song was inspired by a cannibal in Germany who in the early 2000s consumed a man's pecker and other body parts with this person's approval. Pretty sick story indeed, and a pretty sick song too. The song Dalai Lama is not terrible by any means, but it is not particularly great either. Although it contains a good keyboard melody and fits within the context of the album, the song has too much of a monotone vibe throughout. This composition was rarely played live by the band since it was released, probably for those reasons. Kind Lost is a pretty good song. It contains good guitar riffs. This song seems to have been written from the point of view of someone who is so lazy that he has practically lost the desire to do anything. Rammstein released a great comical video for that song, and I encourage you guys to watch it. As of now, Kind Lost is the song from the album Reise that was played live the most by the band, and it is definitely a fan favorite. Lost is a more stripped-down song that features acoustic guitars prominently as well as a harmonica. The utilization of those instruments gives the song a more bluesy feel. The acoustic guitars are really repetitive even for Rammstein standards, but also very effective. It is rare to hear that type of music played on acoustic guitars. I think that is something that makes the song intriguing to listen to. America is definitely one of Rammstein's most popular songs, and it is definitely one of the most iconic songs on the album. The song is a satire about the Americanization of the world and was written at a time when the United States were heavily involved in the Middle East. The song is really catchy, and if it is not as catchy as Do West, it comes pretty close. The lyrics, "We're all living in America, America, it's wonderbar," stay in your head a while after you listen to the song. America also features an amazing keyboard solo. Moscow is a really interesting song. It pretty much has a doom metal feel. It features really slow guitar riffs that are really commanding at the same time. In the song, there is a guest singer singing in Russian, and I think that this language, along with German, suits Rammstein's music really well. I think that Rammstein has a huge fan base in Russia, and having a guest singer singing in Russian was kind of an acknowledgement of that fact. I think that it was a cool move for the music fans in this country. After Moscow, the remaining 4 songs on the album seem to gravitate one way or another around the themes of love or relationships. This gives the end of the album a more emotional or moody feel. This is definitely the case with the song Morgenstern, which features a choir that gives the song an almost religious quality. There is a cool contrast in the song between the choir and the heavy guitars that are still present in the song. In Stein um Stein, there is a quiet to loud dynamic between quieter verses and louder choruses. That kind of dynamic was frequently used by alternative rock and grunge bands, and I think that it suits Rammstein's music well. The song has a haunting atmosphere and a really strong guitar riff. Oddly enough, the band members seem to have liked that riff a lot, because that very same riff, or a similar one, was also used in the song Rosenrot from Rammstein's 5th studio album. On Dish, which translates as Without You in English, is a powerful ballad about the loss of a loved one. It has a melancholic yet powerful vibe, and it is one of the most emotional songs on the album. When you listen to the song, you can't help but feel some sadness, but to me this song is not all about sadness. It has a hard to describe "there is a light at the end of the tunnel" vibe. On Dish is one of Rammstein's best ballads, if not the best. Amo is definitely one of the softer songs on the album. Like On Dish, it seems to gravitate around the theme of love, but unlike On Dish, which is about the loss of a loved one, Amour seems to talk about the hardships of love itself. There is a guitar solo in the song, something very unusual for Rammstein at that time, even today. When the song and the album end, you feel musically satisfied, but you also want to hear more music from the band. The music style on the album can be hard to describe or categorize. Before Reise, Rammstein was known for its industrial metal style, but since this 4th studio album went in a more organic and artistic direction, the songs often sound closer to alternative metal and even modern hard rock than industrial metal. But traces and elements of this last genre are still present in the album though, like the really repetitive guitar riffs, the utilization of keyboards to enhance the music, and the relatively dark atmosphere. So basically, I would describe the album's music style as being kind of a hybrid between industrial metal, alternative metal, and modern hard rock. What are the songs on the album that I recommend? Well, if you are a person that doesn't listen to albums from start to finish, there are 5 songs on the album that I recommend the most that I think are the standout tracks from the album. I recommend the songs America, Mein Teil, Reise, Kein Lust, and Ondisch. All of these songs, except Reise, had an accompanying music video. They are big budget music videos, and I encourage you guys to watch them. If you don't understand German like me, they will help you understand the song's meaning. Is there a song on the album that could have been better? Well, in contrary to many albums who contain fillers, I think that almost all the songs on Reise are really enjoyable. But if there is one song that could have been better, like I said earlier, is the song Dalai Lama. The song is not terrible by any means, it does fit within the context of the album, but it is too monotone, especially compared to the other songs on the album. I think that the song would have benefited from the inclusion of more variations. What's my verdict? Well, I think that this album is excellent. I give it a score of 9 out of 10. Along with Motor, Reise remains one of Rammstein's best studio albums to this day. The album has a lot of replay value. You can listen to it multiple times without getting tired. I also feel that with each listen, you discover new things that you didn't hear before. In the end, Reise was an occasion for the band to try new things and experiment, while also retaining many of the elements that made the band great in the first place. I think that the band members succeeded in going into that direction. One of the band members who changed its style the most during the creation of this album is Christoph Schneider, the band's drummer. Before Reise, he used to play more like a drum machine, which was cool on the band's first 3 studio albums because they had that synthetic or mechanical sound. But on Reise, he played more like a hard rock or rock drummer. I think that this change of playing style was appropriate with the more artistic and organic direction the band followed during the creation of their 4th studio album. Reise is definitely not as heavy or aggressive as the band's first studio albums, which could have been a bit of a letdown for some fans. But the album still includes the heavy distorted guitar sound associated with the band though. But it is true that Reise would have benefited from the inclusion of at least 1 or 2 heavier songs like Mein Teil. Because towards the end of the album there are a lot of softer songs, so putting 1 or 2 heavier songs on the album would have made Reise a bit more balanced. Reise also doesn't contain a lot of the techno and electronic keyboard sounds that were associated with the band. But in the end, I believe that the grandiosity and epic qualities present in the songs more than compensate for those 2 points I just discussed. The album contains good arrangements and a great variation of styles, which give the listener an interesting musical experience. The traveling theme present in the album is also really cool. You really do have the impression of being transported to different places around the globe when listening to the album. To conclude, I definitely recommend Reise whether you are already a fan of the band or whether you are new to Rammstein's music. If you listen to Reise and like what you hear, I also recommend the album Rosenrod by the same band. It is the album that followed Reise, and many songs on both albums were either written or recorded during the same period. So basically, the 2 albums share a similar style and vibe. Although I think that Reise is a better album than Rosenrot, this later album also features good songs, and it is another album that deserves to be heard if you like the band. If you enjoy listening to Reise, I also recommend the albums The High Hand of Low by Marilyn Manson and Educated Horses by Rob Zombie. Both of these albums came out in the mid to late 2000s and also somewhat marked a stylistic evolution for those 2 bands. Like Reise, The High Hand of Low and Educated Horses had a warmer and more organic sound compared to the previous albums by those respective 2 bands. Although not sounding as grandiose as Reise, The High Hand of Low and Educated Horses share similar musical elements with Rammstein's 4th studio album. For example, The song We're From America from the High End of Low share a similar theme with the song America by Rammstein, but this time from the point of view of someone living in the US rather than someone living in a different country. Educated Horses, like Reise, features good guitar riffs, this time by none other than John Five, one of the most renowned guitarists in the industrial metal scene, along with Richard Kruspe and Paul Landers from Rammstein. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to publish another video soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers.